I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. A social media like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or other platforms is really have a big impact on our life. Even especially in COVID-19 pandemic, our source of study, our access to education world not only limited to books and Google web search, but also social media like YouTube, Instagram, and other platforms that I mentioned above. The stakeholders and people in Instagram, YouTube, Gojek, and other platforms is competing to update their application and give the best services that they can do in order to satisfy the consumer. In status quo right now, there are several tech companies who do a merger and acquisitions like the Prime Minister already said. And we believe that those two strategies are to shut the competitors and gain the much more profit at once is justifiable. We believe that those strategies are having much more benefit rather than its drawbacks. Ladies and gentlemen, our goal is to give protection to our society and keep the economic sector growing and give an easy access to our society in their daily basis. And then the BOPR, why are these are justifiable, and then what will happen if we continue to do a merge and acquisitions in the future. But first, I'm gonna rebut the Prime Minister of the government. Firstly, we don't think that it will be consumers disadvantages by giving them not so many choices to use variety kind of platforms. Instead, it will be much more easy and efficient to the consumer. Why? Firstly, because the society needs something that can be help multitask their daily needed. They can just simply use one platform and everything is already fulfilled in there. For example, like Koto, the consumer can use the same app to buy something with cheap values and order an online object or do a delivery food at once. Even if it needs time to learn how Kodo works and how the algorithm, the society will adapt fast because from the Kodo itself, it already creates an app that is easy to access to everyone in order to increasing their profit by keeping everyone using their product and keep downloading their Kodo app. And then the second rebuttal. Indeed, there were cases like data leak in Facebook before, but they already compensated by giving much more protection in their app. They apply some policies that is regulated. Even nowadays, there is a law that protects our private data, so that a company like Facebook, Google, will think twice and many other times to let the user's data is being leaked again. And then moreover, there are cybersecurity from the governmental itself. So even if people who work in Facebook, Kodo, and Gojek and add anything, they won't do anything to our data that is held by them. In order, that is law that is protect our societies, our data itself. Now move to my argument, why it is justifiable to do. Firstly, it will be much more beneficial for the country that its land is built of that company. In tax system, that it is much more beneficial if a one big companies pay a taxes rather than several small companies who pay their own taxes also. Take Facebook and WhatsApp or Instagram for instance. USA will be much more have benefit when WhatsApp, Instagram decided to sell their companies to Facebook. The tax of it can cost 20 times more expensive rather than when WhatsApp and Instagram stand of their own. Indeed, the WhatsApp and Instagram itself are already big companies, but in order to pay the debt or any money problems of USA, this merge and acquisitions is much more efficient way. And then the second, if other tech companies do this merge and acquisitions also, every country will have same sources and know what happened in this world more fastly, more efficiently. For example, like how Never is usually is commonly used in South Korea as the resource of everything instead of Google, and how China is used Weibo and KakaoTalk for their communication, and how YouTube is banned in China, and how China's people is using Douyin rather than TikTok for entertaining themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, if Naver and Google do acquisitions, or Douyin and TikToks have emerged, the world will be much more accessible rather than what we have nowadays. We can see that what is happening in China, what is trend in Korea much more efficiently and fast rather than what we have right now, because we have the same source and access. And finally, it will be much more easier for our society to be more concerned, to be more have an empathy to other country as well, and our society will be much more update about what happened in this world. For example, the society will be having an easier access to what happened to donate in America, to donate in Africa or other countries that is far from our countries, for instance, in Indonesia. They will have much more easier access to, for example, like in Africa right now, there is a disaster, a catastrophe that is happened there. We as Indonesian people decided to give donation to them, to give a morally support to them, to give something that we can give to them directly at that time, because everything is more accessible at the time. And then this world will be much more peaceful, much more have no war, no kind of hating each other, because we have much more access to know what is actually happening in the world outside, and then it will build our empathy size to them. But ladies and gentlemen, indeed there are some kind of criminal criminal online and cyberbullying and so forth and so on. But ladies and gentlemen, if the tech companies do emerge every tech company to emerge and acquisitions, the government will actually give much more protection, give much more effort to protect the data or everything that is held by the companies also. Why? Because the government knows the society will use the platform, the app that company produces, right? So the government would let the society harm their own by not protect them or giving them protection or cybersecurity, so forth and so on. And so we're back to oppose.